the biggest mistake people make when buying Bitcoin. Let's talk about something that I noticed a lot of first-time newbies and beginners to Bitcoin. They seem to make this mistake over and over and over again, guys. But before I get into this video, please smash the like button, guys. It really helps the algorithm, really helps get this message out to more people so they can avoid this mistake and have more success and more gains with Bitcoin. And let's just get right to it. The number one mistake I see is timing the market. You know, I'm just going to kind of, let's talk about a conversation I had with a client. He's in his 60s. He's from Maine. He's from the same town as Cooper Flagg, okay? Cooper Flagg, he's projected to be the number one draft picked in this year's NBA draft. And, you know, last time I saw him, he was so interested in getting into Bitcoin, and for him, he was really interested in IBIT, okay, the Bitcoin ETF by BlackRock. That's the one I advise for a lot of you guys out there. You're already established and retired, and you just want more alpha gains. So what's interesting with him is that I actually first told him about Bitcoin back in August of 2024, before Bitcoin started running last year. And I believe the price was around, $53,000, $55,000, somewhere around there. And I was telling him, I was saying, hey man, the S&P 500, hey, you're just not going to get the best gains there. You're going to do okay with high yield savings and stuff like that, but you're not going to be able to preserve your purchasing power by remaining on the fiat standard. You need to get some of your capital into Bitcoin. And he kind of just disregarded me. Oh, I'm fine. No need, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to about a week ago, and I saw him again, and Bitcoin's price had literally doubled. And now he's asking all of these questions, and he's, interested in getting involved, investing in Bitcoin, but he has to pay twice the price. So why am I telling you guys this story? The reason I'm telling you guys this story is because you need to understand that the number one mistake you're ever going to make with Bitcoin is trying to time the market. Bitcoin doesn't work like that, okay? You don't time your purchases with Bitcoin. Now, I know some of you guys out there, you guys think you're amazing traders, and you guys can perfectly time the bottoms and the tops. But I had a friend recently, when Bitcoin dipped down to around 75K, I believe it was like just over a month ago, Bitcoin dropped down to 75K in April 2024, and he told me to sell. And I said, no, I don't time the markets. I save in Bitcoin. It's a different mindset. And just like I mentioned, my friend in his 60s, who basically had to pay twice as much for IBIT because he was trying to time the market, I have a similar story to tell you guys. Hold on a second, wait for this airplane to go. So, I learned this lesson a long time ago, okay? Back when I first learned about Bitcoin in 2014, okay? 2014, Bitcoin was trading for like a couple of $100. And I looked at it, at the time, I was, how old was I? I guess I was in my early 20s or whatever. I was still living at home with family. I didn't have a large income, okay? I was unemployed. And I remember Bitcoin was a couple of $100 a coin. And I was thinking to myself, it's too expensive, right? Pretty funny, right? So instead, I was looking at some of the alternatives. Like, I believe at the time I was taking a look at, I had some other coins on the platform, and I kind of just ignored it, right? I said, I tried to set up my a Coinbase account or something like that. I was having problems getting verified, and I just ignored it. Fast forward to 2017. So I was traveling in Thailand, and I met this guy from the UK, and he was a young guy, pretty good looking, and he seemed like he was doing pretty well financially. He was a little bit younger than I was. So I simply asked him, I said, how are you afford to travel? And he said, I'm trading Bitcoin. Now, at the time, Bitcoin had been over $1,000. So I was like, whoa, 3 years had passed. This thing went from like $200 to $300. Why did I try to time the market? Why didn't I just get the asset in my hands? So long story short, Bitcoin started running from $1,000 to $20,000. That was in the 2017 bull run, and then it crashed. And then again, I had another chance to buy Bitcoin around $3,000, and I was thinking it's too expensive. Things just changed for me. I had a mindset shift in 2019 when I said just screw it, and I just started saving in Bitcoin. But I missed 5 years. 5 years of gains, guys, with using the wrong mindset and trying to time everything. Look, prime example of someone that doesn't time the market, Michael Saylor. Okay, Michael Saylor was the first guy on Wall Street to add Bitcoin to his balance sheet. Okay, he did this in August 2020. Since then, Strategy has bought Bitcoin dozens of times. They've bought it when the price is up. They bought it when the price is down. They just keep buying it. And now they have the largest corporate Bitcoin stash in the entire world. Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay, the real strategy to win with Bitcoin is not to get some super crystal ball and to be able to perfectly time the tops and the bottoms. I understand people do that. But the real strategy is time in the market, not timing the market. Okay? If you can understand that, if you can wrap your head around that concept, you don't want to have to try to guess when Bitcoin's going to crash and when Bitcoin's going to pump. And I know some of you do that, and congratulations. But the truth is that most people can't do that. They can't accurately predict the tops and the bottoms. You're going to be better off over the long run. Dollar cost averaging in the Bitcoin. That means anytime you have money, right? I usually say, invest at least 10% of your monthly income into Bitcoin. That's a good starting point. Obviously, there's some other people out there. Shout out to Chris Johnson. I think he recommends 30%. But I know a lot of people, you guys watching this, majority of watching this in the United States, I know a lot of you can't afford to invest 30-40% of your income into Bitcoin. It's just not practical with the high cost of living, with inflation, everything like that. Don't worry, I understand. But just try to be consistent with your purchases. Don't worry about the price. And I'm going to tell you why you don't need to worry about the price. Because when you invest in Bitcoin, you're not really investing in like a traditional stock. You're just trading fiat money, which is fiat currencies, for the best digital currency. You're just switching what you save, okay? Most people, you guys watching this, if you live in the United States, UK, Canada, wherever, you're saving in Canadian dollars or euro or pound or the United States dollar or yen or whatever your currency is. But that currency only represents your country, okay? For the United States is only about 5% of the world population. So you're only benefiting from the economic energy of 5% of the world. The other 95% of the world you're not benefiting from. And that's one of the reasons why it doesn't make sense to really save in government currencies unless you're much older and you're retired and you just don't want any risk, okay? You guys over like 40, 50, 60 or whatever and you worked, fine, I understand. But for a lot of you guys under 40, and a majority of you guys watching this channel right now, a lot of you guys are under 40, okay? Just getting started in your careers, struggling with inflation. Maybe you have to live at home with your parents. Maybe you have to job hop, job to job, don't have much of a savings. Time in the markets for Bitcoin will help you immensely. I'm telling you, don't make the mistake that I did, okay? Don't make the mistake I did looking at the price and trying to say, it's too expensive. Look, when Bitcoin was $300, people thought it was expensive, okay? When Bitcoin was $10,000, people thought it was expensive. When Bitcoin is now $100,000, people think it's expensive. There will always be a price where people think Bitcoin is expensive. That will never go away. That mental price shock that a lot of people experience when it comes to Bitcoin, that doesn't go away ever. Because at the end of the day, $1,000 is a lot to some people, but to some people it's not a lot of money. And to $100,000 to some people is a lot of money, but even to those people, $100,000 can be considered a small sum of money. It's really all relative. But the important thing is that you get out of the fiat mindset of trying to time the price and you start accumulating a percentage of the network, okay? So on this channel, right, I say everyone watch this video, try to get at least 0.1 Bitcoin. That should be like the bare minimum. Everyone watching this, okay, unless you guys are just like have no income, or you live in a country where the salary is so low. But for a lot of you guys living in United States, Canada, places like that, North America, Europe, you guys can get to 0.1 Bitcoin, okay? Once you get to 0.1 Bitcoin, set the bar even higher. Try to get to 1 Bitcoin. It's going to be more difficult now, and I posted a video recently about that, but you still have time, okay? I don't believe Bitcoin is going to run much very, very extremely high until probably towards the end of 2025. There is time left, but you don't want to make the mistake of timing the market. It's such a big mistake. It's the biggest mistake I ever made when it comes to this cryptocurrency thing. If I had just basically thought like Michael Saylor and just said, hey, I'm just gonna save in Bitcoin, I don't care what the price is. Oh man, it's just hard to think about it because it's such a simple thing. And I should have known this because, you know, I have a lot of experience in the stock market, and I've read a lot of books, especially from guys like Warren Buffett. They talk about, buy a stock like if the market was going to close, and only buy something that you're willing to hold to 10 years and all these things like that. And all of this long-term thinking, it really does work, but it's really hard to practice it when you're a young guy with not a lot of money and you're investing in this completely new concept called cryptocurrency. I understand it, guys. You know, I've been there. It just, it took me years to trust Bitcoin and to understand that it was going to make my life far easier and not more difficult. So, like I said, best way to do it, don't focus on the fiat price. Do not do it. Do not focus on the US dollar price. Focus on the amount of Bitcoin that you are purchasing. You keep your goalposts moving higher. Try to get more and more every 3 months and every year. Okay, obviously monthly, depending on when you guys make purchases. But guys like Michael Saylor over at Strategy, their goal is to accumulate more Bitcoin every 3 months. So every 3 months is a quarter on Wall Street. So they have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. I've looked at their tracker and man, it's crazy how they just keep buying and buying and buying no matter the price, because they're just converting their money from weak fiat currencies that are easily debased and printed to nothing, and they're just converting it into hard money and just letting the power of Bitcoin scarcity take care of itself. Now remember, every 4 years the halving reward gets cut in half. So there's that scarcity built in where maybe the price is volatile over the short run, but over the long run, every 4 years, Bitcoin becomes more rare. The price has to go up. It's built into the freaking software code. There's just so many things that play into Bitcoin's price and make it valuable that you really don't have to time the markets. Now, if you guys can do it, more power to you. But a lot of you out there watching it, would be the best thing you can do is just when you get the money to invest in Bitcoin, just smash the buy button and keep living life. Don't overthink it. Okay, just like my client I was telling you about earlier in the video, in his 60s, he's going to end up buying, he's going to end up FOMOing into IBIT. I told him about it when it was 50% cheaper. And I could see the look in his eye, the look of regret, because when I told him about it, like I mentioned, it was about $55,000, and he was looking at me like I was a fool. When I saw him again, I guess it was about 8 months later, when I saw him, it was hilarious because he could see he just looked shocked. He just didn't understand. I mean, this guy's done very well for himself. Ex-military guy, very well off financially, owns multiple properties all over the United States, owns properties, I believe, in Maine, Texas, a bunch of places, does very well for himself. I mean, he's crushing it in life, but he didn't understand that the little old Bitcoin was going to go much higher, and it caught him off guard. And now I could see the look. Now I could see he was serious about investing in Bitcoin, and hopefully he ends up buying IBIT and doesn't try to time things. Don't time Bitcoin. You don't wait to buy Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin and wait. This is what, this whole video is about. Just get in. Time in Bitcoin is going to benefit you, not timing when to buy it. Because when you try to time when to buy it, you're thinking with a fiat mindset. And that defeats the whole purpose of Bitcoin. The whole purpose of Bitcoin is to get us on to sound money that can't be debased and that we can use to transfer value around the world within seconds without a third-party intermediary like a bank or a government or something like that. And when you start timing when to buy Bitcoin, you're still stuck in the past. You're still stuck in the 20th century mindset. It's the 21st century, guys. This is the age of Pisces. You guys got to evolve out here. Adapt or die. You can't stay with the same thinking that people used in the past and expect to get great results. I mean, they've got kids out here 15, 16, 17 years old that are freaking multi-millionaires, and they've got a lot of baby boomers out here going homeless. And the reason that is because this young generation, these Gen Z, these Gen Alpha guys, they think differently, okay? And a lot of the baby boomers, I'm not calling you guys out, but a lot of you baby boomers got this old archaic way of thinking. And that's the reason why the baby boomer population is exploding into homelessness. And a lot of these young kids out here, they're not even old enough to drink alcohol, but they're already millionaires. So adapt. Yes, we're humans. Yes, we're people and stuff like that, but we're also animals. And I really believe in Darwinian concepts, okay? I really believe in this survival of the fittest stuff. You need to adapt. Can't stay stuck in the old ways. The way things used to happen in the past that's the past. You gotta adapt. Hold on a second here. A lot of airplanes, man. So, that's about it, Just get into the Bitcoin market, buy, be consistent. Don't worry so much over the price. Okay, the price will take care of itself over the long run as long as you stay consistent with your purchases, as long as you believe in the long-term benefits of Bitcoin. You'll be fine. Now, if you guys are looking for like a quick trading arbitrage opportunity, well, that doesn't really work, because then obviously if you're trading it, right? If you're trading it or day trading or swing trading, something like that, then you need to time the price. But for a lot of you out there, you guys aren't interested in that. You just want to make money, preserve your purchasing power, and have freedom and things like that. Be able to buy a house in the future, right? Be able to one day maybe start a family, right? Travel, okay? You can do all of these things using the power of Bitcoin. But what you can't do is you can't hesitate and be fearful and look at the price, the US dollar price on the screen, and think, oh, it's too expensive. I'm going to wait till it's going to drop. Wait till it's going to drop. Well, let me tell you something. There are only 21 million coins out there. And there are billions of people that are going to start fighting over them. So when you've got billions and billions and billions of people that are going to fight over a fixed amount of coins, waiting for Bitcoin to dip down to 60K, 50K, 40K, you're just a little bit delusional. You don't understand the shift that's taking place. It's been a massive shift. Okay, I'm going to keep beating home this point because we've transitioned into a completely new age and a new way of doing things. So, when you get Bitcoin at over $100,000, it looks expensive. But if Bitcoin goes to $1 million in a couple of years, you look like a genius. Okay, there's very few investments out there that allow you to basically potentially 10x your money without taking on substantial risk. And when I say substantial risk, I mean the risk of a corporation failing, the risk of a CEO stepping down, products becoming, archaic and hackneyed, lawsuits, okay? Embezzlement within companies, right? Real estate, things like hazards like fires, tornadoes, typhoons, all of these risks that are around other traditional assets. Bitcoin doesn't have any. Bitcoin is fire resistant. It's water resistant. It's not susceptible to typhoons and earthquakes and all of these things. There's no CEO. There's no one that can, dilute it. No one can just change Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin's powered by miners all over the world. No, there's no one single source that's controlling it. So we have a decentralized new money out here and a new way of doing things. It's very important, obviously I'm not a financial advisor, but I would say it's probably important that you get some of this stuff. So, gotta just wrap things up here. Getting dehydrated again. Tired. Walking a bit. So like I said, guys, the biggest mistake that people make when buying Bitcoin is timing the market, when it's important to have time in the market. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys enjoy my content, hey, subscribe for more videos. Check out my newsletter. I publish a newsletter Monday through Friday. Sometimes I message you guys on the weekends if I have a new video or something like that. But I publish this newsletter, Business Days, to talk a little bit about crypto and some of the Bitcoin treasury stocks that I'm taking a look at. Keep you guys informed on what's going on. And, just give you some quick heads up and some potential picks that you can invest on, because, I had to create this newsletter because there were so many different plays coming out. No one was talking about them. Plays like CEP and ASST, KY, I think KDLY, okay? All of these new companies were adopting the Bitcoin treasury standard, and there was no central place to find out those picks. So I decided to create something to alert you guys during business hours so you can get it on these companies and get on some of these crypto plays early. Okay, you don't have to wait to pay until it's like mainstream news and the price is already elevated. So that's why I created the newsletter, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Subscribers are growing. Like I said, I plan to keep this newsletter up just to provide value and things like that. Probably in the future, I'll end up coming up with a couple of courses or something like that on basic education on how to invest in some of these Bitcoin treasury companies, best way to store Bitcoin, things like that. But that's for the future, guys. But right now, I'm just trying to focus on just build a following and be consistent with my video making, because I'm just not consistent enough. That's one of the things I want to do. I want to be consistent, especially during a bull run. So that's all I got until next time, guys. Like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's all I got. So, again, take care.